Or perhaps it's a hybrid of both. Your best is always ahead.
Because better is a never-ending quest.
Introducing the all-new Accord Hybrid. Now, North American Car of the Year for 2018.
We saw it in 2001, again in 2008, and we're seeing it again today. But this bubble is potentially the worst I've ever seen.
It's going to be the mother of all crashes.
We have huge asset bubbles everywhere. The warning signs are out there.
You can see it in this chart. You have to hedge now against it.
When will this bubble burst? Call now to receive this free screaming indicator report. This one chart has forecasted every major correction in the past 20 years. Find out what it's saying now.
Gold has been money for 6,000 years, and at no point in history has gold ever been worth zero.
Owning gold and silver is a great way to be prepared.
Call now to get this screaming indicator report, our precious metals investor guide, and get prepared with up to $2,000 in free gold or silver from Lear Capital. Don't wait. The information is free and there's no obligation to purchase. Call 1-800-511-1960. 1-800-511-1960.
Managing blood sugar isn't a marathon. It's a series of smart choices, like using Glucerna to replace one meal or snack a day. Only Glucerna has Carb Steady, unique blends of slow-release carbs to help manage blood sugar. Every meal, every craving. It's the choices you make when managing blood sugar that are the real victories. Glucerna, everyday progress.
Patrick woke up with back pain, but he has work to do, so he took a leave. If he'd taken Tylenol, he'd be stopping for more pills right now. Only Aleve has the strength to stop tough pain for up to 12 hours with just one pill. Aleve, all day strong.
Hey, we didn't have a homeowner's claim last year, so Allstate's giving us money back on our bill.
Seems fair. Didn't use it.
Wish we got money back on gym memberships.
Get money back.
Hilarious.
With claim-free rewards. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
The sun used to make our outdoor deck and patio space so hot and uncomfortable, we couldn't use it.
But then we discovered the Sunsetter retractable awning. Our Sunsetter retractable awning opens and closes in just 60 seconds. It keeps our patio about 20 degrees cooler.
It provides instant shade and instant protection from the sun's harmful rays.
And our Sunsetter costs under $700.
But now you can get your Sunsetter for as little as $599 when you call now to get this special $200 discount certificate and free awning idea kit.
We love our Sunsetter retractable awning, and you're going to love yours too.
Sunsetter awnings are assembled in America and guaranteed to last for years. So call now to get this free awning idea kit with DVD, plus your $200 Sunsetter discount certificate.
But this is a limited time offer.
Call now.
Call now for your free awning idea kit with DVD and $200 discount certificate. There's no obligation.
Fox News alert on this. The Trump administration is preparing to slap new sanctions on Russian oligarchs with close ties to Vladimir Putin over election meddling. Those penalties could be announced at any moment, today or tomorrow. We don't know. We're ready. This is CNN reports that Robert Mueller's team has taken the unusual step of questioning some of those oligarchs who traveled into the United States, stopping at least one and searching his electronic devices when his private jet landed at a New York area airport, according to multiple sources. These tactics suggest the special counsel is trying to determine whether wealthy Russians illegally funneled cash donations directly or indirectly into now President Trump's campaign and inauguration. Democrat Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, who sits on the House Judiciary Committee, now says what he makes of the latest turn in Mueller's investigation. Watch.
The more we learn, the worse it gets for Donald Trump and for all of the president's men. That's clear, and Bob Mueller is running a thorough, comprehensive investigation, and he's going to get to the bottom of what happened on behalf of the American people. What we know is that you've got potential money laundering that may have occurred prior to the campaign with Donald Trump as a private citizen, so-called businessman.
So interesting that Mr. Jeffries has so much more information than anybody else. Is any of it provable fact, evidence? What do we know?
Well, I tell you, we're missing a gold medalist in the Olympics because his high jump ability is incredible. What a jump to go from oligarchs in Russia to somehow that's tied to money laundering with Donald Trump before the man even ran for president, for God's sake. I'm just amazed by these kind of connections that people make, even the very week that Mueller says that Donald Trump is not a criminal target. So how do you put all that together, except this is just partisan claptrap?
You know, Sandra, it's when we look at this and we remember back in the day on the other side of the political aisle, Ken Starr, is this kind of dangerous ground legally that we might be getting into? Because we hear about how wide-ranging.
I think that is the conversation, and I think a lot of people are having a hard time wrapping their minds around how much time and the resources and the money and the people. And I'm looking right at you, Maria. That's not a leading question, but I do wonder how we begin to finally to rationalize this ongoing.
Well, we rationalize it because it's important for the American people to know what happened in the 2016 election. There have been serious allegations, if any of those are true, and looking into the question of obstruction of justice. This is why the special counsel was set up. None of us know what will come from this. Not all of us can speculate. Robert Mueller is doing the job that he was given to do, and he will take his time. And I think what we will see as it gets towards the end is Donald Trump sitting down with him in some way. We've talked about whether that will be written.
Well,
I think he will legally be able to avoid doing it in person, but that will be a key part of this.
Even though nothing's been, just because.
Well, I would not say that nothing's been found. We found a lot of new information throughout this investigation about Trump campaign associate contacts with Russians, about them lying to it.
If there's no criminal investigation of Donald Trump by Robert Mueller, there's no reason why he would sit down with Robert Mueller to answer any questions.
He may get
especially since everything in this case so far has been about lying to the FBI, so to speak. I think that we've speculated a lot about this entire process. There is a ton that we do not know about the special counsel, what he's looking for, what he's not looking for, who he's going after. We've gone from collusion, which has never come to fruition, to obstruction of justice, and now we're going into Russian oligarchs flying into New York City on their private planes and trying to find out whether they were funneling money.
Which is illegal.
Legitimate, but it has nothing to do with the original intention of the investigation, which was collusion.
Point, I want to concede there has been real strong evidence of obstruction of justice by Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, by Jim Comey, by Andrew McCabe, and by a host of people who appeared to have lied. So if we want to talk about what happens when you lie to the FBI, I want to know what happens when the FBI lies to us.
So, Governor, when you look at kind of the total picture of where we are in this investigation, and you hear somebody like a special counsel say, I'm ready to issue my report, but I need to talk to the president, and then he says it's not a criminal target, the president or the White House. It's interesting because legal experts have said that's an indication that A, he either doesn't have the power to prosecute or charge, doesn't have the evidence to do that, and he needs one last thing to check off his list. This might be the best thing for the president to do, to sit down. If they can come up with some agreement, Ty Cobbs and Jay Sekulow, his counsel on this, maybe it's just the 2 hours and you sit down, you check that off the list and you move on.
But it is a trap, and it is a dangerous trap, because Donald Trump shoots from the hip. Let's all recognize that he is not a man who goes by the script. And if he says something in that interview that in any way differs from something he has said in public, whether under oath or not, then they can say he lied to the FBI when he was being interviewed. Then he's in real trouble, and that's why his lawyers don't want him to do it.
Am I Pollyannish to think that the leader of the most powerful person in leadership in the free world can't handle a 2-hour interview?
I think he can handle it, but the question is, can anybody go through that FBI process? Because when they want to get you, they're going to find a way to get you. That's what I know.
As long as he tells the truth, though, it's not a trap. Only if he walks into it.
No, the truth can be told exactly the truth, but if it's the truth with a few different words, then it can be deemed as untruth, and that's the trap.
All right.
That is the trap.
Meantime, Fox News has obtained a letter House Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes sent to Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein and FBI Chief Christopher Wray. Based on the letter, the FBI has taken the unusual step of refusing to provide the committee with an unredacted copy of the July 2016 memo that kickstarted this whole Russia probe. Fox News is told the memo was likely drafted by or with input from controversial FBI agent Peter Strzok, whom the governor just mentioned. Nunes writing in part, quote, committee investigators were given access to a still heavily redacted version of the FBI memo, which, as I informed Director Wray, was unsatisfactory. The document in question is not highly classified, and law enforcement sources have apparently not been shy about leaking to the press information that the Department and Bureau refused to share with Congress. If the memo is not provided by April 11th, Nunes is threatening to enforce subpoenas issued last August. Earlier on America's Newsroom, Oversight Chair Trey Gowdy told me why this request is so very important.
Most of what I've read is already in the public domain, but I really want to know, what information did you view credible enough to launch a pretty serious counterintelligence investigation? When did you learn it? How did you vet it? How did you determine whether or not it was reliable or not? All of that is in a paragraph that I can't read.
So why not just turn this document over? Governor.
Well, there's no reason, and I think that the members of the FBI should be held in contempt of Congress. This is a serious thing, and nobody can say, well, there's stuff in there they shouldn't see. Devin Nunes has the highest classification of security because of his position. He can see anything anybody in the entire U.S. government can see. And for them to pretend that somehow it's got to be redacted, that's utter nonsense. They're hiding something, and it's time for us to find out what they're hiding.
And the time may be up soon. April 11th is the deadline, and then it's subpoena time.
Yeah, and I think the FBI probably will turn this over. And there's, again, a lot of speculation about what's in it. None of us have seen it. There's some indication that there is counterintelligence information. There are intercepts. There is intelligence sources and methods in there, which I'm sure is part of what's driving the FBI. And we all should know why this was started and get rid of some of the speculation, because it's really easy to speculate when none of us have seen it.
But the FBI also made the claim that they had to protect national security information and counterintelligence methods when they wanted to not allow the House Intelligence Committee to release the memo with President Trump's permission. We all remember that. But my question is, if Devin Nunes is serious about getting this memo unredacted, why is he not enforcing subpoenas that were already issued in August right now? I mean, this idea that they're continuing to wait to enforce those doesn't make a lot of sense. I think Judicial Watch is probably paying attention, and they'll be issuing some court FOIA lawsuits soon.
Tom Fitton is over there.
This stuff will be released publicly, though. There's a big difference between giving it to Devin Nunes.
I'm surprised, too, that when you talk about being serious about it and you have the ability to legally go after the information, I'm surprised it hasn't leaked. Everything else from that part of the Hill, I mean, we know the House Intelligence basically had a faucet running for a little while there, and some of it felt very political. So I asked the question too. Now back in Nunes' hands, why not subpoena for this? Do you have any thoughts on that, Governor?
Well, the only thing that seems to leak out are the things that are negative toward the president. I mean, if you think about it, how many things that support the president leak out?
Do they
Zero.
exist? I mean, I'm not. That wasn't a funny joke. I wasn't actually trying to make a joke.
Well, nothing is purely anything.
Do they
so,
exist?
Yeah,
no, the joke is on us to think that the government agencies are playing this straight up and playing fair and playing with the same rules that they would impose upon us.
But this government agency that's saying no to a subpoena from a Republican in Congress is led by Republicans. So it's not even Democrats that are saying no.
They're protecting the institution. This is not about politics. This is about protecting the institution.
And the person who could release it today is Rod Rosenstein. You could argue that Attorney General Jeff Sessions can't because he's recused himself from the Russia investigation. But there are people in higher up places at the Department of Justice who could call for it to be released to Congress unredacted, but they're not doing it.
People just want to know if anybody's ever going to be held accountable for any wrongdoing anywhere.
And if I were a defense attorney and my client was ever charged with a federal crime, I would have a large body of reasons to say don't charge him because you don't even hold the people elected to hold public trust accountable.
Well, Democrats can't seem to shake Hillary Clinton. She's speaking out on her presidential election loss.
What happened?
Again. Who she's blaming this time around, and whether this ultimately hurts her party. Plus, Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg to testify before Congress next week amid a massive data scandal that compromised millions of user profiles and just got even more massive. Whether the company is doing enough to right the ship next.
We didn't take a broad enough view of what our responsibility is, and that was a huge mistake. And it was my mistake.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need cash? You need to know about the New Day 100 Home Loan for Veterans. It lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you refinance your mortgages, consolidate your credit card debt, put cash in the bank, and lower your payments an average of $600 a month. Call them today.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-844-383-1588.
It's time to do more of what you want, where you want, with the all-new EU2200i generators from Honda. They're quiet, portable, and now packed with 200 more watts of stable power and all new features. Plus, parallel another EU2200 for twice the power, with long run times, outstanding fuel efficiency, and the same reliability you expect from Honda. It's power you can trust.
You made a promise. You agreed to never give up, to ask, what else can I do? You agreed to remember the good people who rise with every challenge, to remember their strength, to serve with grit and grace. You made a promise. We did too. The all-new Ram 1500.
We'd like to say thank you to our customers for this J.D. Power Award. Dish constantly innovates better ways to get TV. But how?
You have the same bill for 2 years, unlike other TV companies.
You have the most innovative DVR. And if you thought to build in a remote finder, imagine what else you'll think of.
Dish is ranked #1 in customer service nationally by J.D. Power and our customers. Dish, tuned into you.
Don't miss Scott's Days at your local Ace.
Our biggest lawn and garden sale of the spring.
Right now, buy any bag of Scott's fertilizer and get a free $5 reward. Hurry in for great deals throughout the store. Right now at Ace.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
It's 99-cent Kids Nights at Golden Corral. Now kids eat and drink for just 99 cents. Under $1. Woo! It's prime time for family time. Come on now. Golden Corral. Your choice. Rules.
People would stare. Psoriasis does that.
It was tough getting out there on stage. I wanted to be clear. I wanted it to last.
So I kept on fighting.
I found something that worked and keeps on working.
Now, they see me.
See me.
See if Cosentyx could make a difference for you. Cosentyx is proven to help people with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis find clear skin that can last. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting Cosentyx, you should be checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you've received a vaccine or plan to. If you have inflammatory bowel disease, tell your doctor if symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
Never give up.
See me.
See me.
Clear skin can last.
Don't hold back. Ask your dermatologist if Cosentyx can help you find clear skin that lasts.
You did it. You were disciplined, you saved your money, and you have a retirement nest egg. But what do you do now? It doesn't have to be complicated. The smart investor has their money protected against market losses. Up with the market and never down. Forwards with their money and never backwards. And it's simple. Sound attractive? Get your investor's kit and I'll explain on the DVD exactly how it works, and you decide if it's right for you.
Get your investor's kit. Call 800-557-7379 or tyjyoung.net.
The hot seat's about to be really hot. Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg speaking out amid the Cambridge Analytica data mining scandal, which compromised the personal information of millions of Facebook users. He says he takes full responsibility for the incident, but refuses to step down. Watch.
It's clear now that we didn't do enough. We didn't focus enough on preventing abuse and thinking through how people could use these tools to do harm as well. We didn't take a broad enough view of what our responsibility is, and that was a huge mistake. It was my mistake. At the end of the day, this is my responsibility. I'm going to do the best job helping to run it going forward, but I'm not looking to throw anyone else under the bus for mistakes that we've made here.
Is there any room under the bus? Zuckerberg also revealing millions more users were compromised than initially thought, and that it's possible the profile of every one of its 2 billion users was scraped for data.
The 87 million is the maximum number of people that we could calculate could have been accessed. We don't actually know how many people's information Kogan actually got. We don't know what he sold to Cambridge Analytica, and we don't know today what they have in their system.
3 we don't knows. Meanwhile, Congress is announcing that Zuckerberg has committed to testify before the Senate and House committees on the issue next week. 2 times with Zuckerberg. So how does this all work, Sandra, just in terms of where he is now as a CEO? Over at Fox Business, I know you've talked with CEOs, and we all do at some degree, but is he the best person to be out there PR along with also testifying?
Well, he should have been out there more. And to your point about him saying the I don't knows, that's okay for a CEO to say that, especially with a growth company like Facebook. I mean, he started this company, he was 19 years old in his dorm room at Harvard, and it has grown since. It's lost about $80 billion, I think.
That was last Tuesday.
The market value and hit has been enormous. That's why I was looking down when I was looking at this. But I mean, it's a big number. The amount of money this company has lost in the wake of this scandal. So they're paying the price. But the we don't knows should have been more proactive. He should have said this before you signed on and assumed that you had a certain level of privacy. I don't know what the future of Mark Zuckerberg is going to be, but open hearings next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, are going to be a big deal for a guy who's been so private during the lifetime of this company.
So, Governor, it would seem that everybody wants a little bit of Zuckerberg on this issue because this is how they were doing business. I mean, they can sugarcoat this any kind of way they want to sugarcoat it, but who really thought they had a lot of privacy online to begin with? And when you look at some of his old text messages, he knew what he was scooping up and giving away and that there was a price on it. It's a business model.
How did they make all that money? They made the money by selling the data that they were scraping off of people. Mark Zuckerberg needs to take a really, really good picture of himself before he walks in that hearing, because he's never going to look the same. They are going to strip the skin off of him, both Democrats and Republicans. Look, first of all, they do this anytime because it's great TV for them and it makes them look good. But everybody wants a piece of him for this. Republicans, because they feel like he has manipulated the content of Facebook. Over half the people in America get their news from social media. Democrats and Republicans alike, I think, because of the civil liberties concerns.
You remind us, and Marie, we've talked about this on the couch many times, of why he was in the news a few months ago. It had to do with those algorithms. And how they were saying, no, you don't want to read these news clips about conservatives. You only want to look at that hurts everybody.
Exactly. And starting pretty much right after the 2016 election, Facebook started getting criticized from a bunch of different places. And Mark Zuckerberg was slow to respond, if he did at all. I mean, that's what Sandra was saying. He laughed at various times. He laughed off criticism. He said it wasn't true. He gave facts and figures that later turned out to be wildly inaccurate. Again, to Sandra's point, if he had just said, we don't know, that sounds so much more honest and open. They have not handled this publicly from a good place. They've played catch up. They've thought they were too big to fail. These hearings are going to be fascinating.
You mean the social media network didn't handle it socially very well?
For a communications company, it is actually sort of shocking.
I have a different perspective on this. I actually think this whole thing has been blown out of proportion. I think that Facebook has done censoring of conservatives, which is not a good thing. However, when you sign up for Facebook, or at least in the old days, it actually asks you what your political affiliation is. Very liberal, very conservative. And you know, at least you should know, that when you're using a service online for free, you are the product. And I guess that's something that I just understand and accept. It's why I don't have an Alexa or a Google Home in my home. But I am concerned, however, about Facebook's responsibility with that memo that was leaked out and published by BuzzFeed a couple weeks ago of the executive saying someone might get killed as a result of terrorism and people connecting on our network. And that's simply just a cost of us doing business that we're going to have to endure. The ends justify the means, so to speak. That's what I'm concerned about. I think the idea that people are outraged over their personal information being sold.
I just don't know who thinks they have privacy online anyway. I don't care what the app says. But you're right. When it's free, even when it's not free.
But you say
it's not in your
it's
house.
On the list of questions, so I assume that they're probably
the only
looking
way to
for that
protect
information.
your wall. You know that commercial with the older lady and she thinks that you put your notes up on the wall and they say, no, that's not how it works. It's not the wall in your house. That's the only way you know you have privacy in all this. But when you go back to Capitol Hill, you say he's never going to look the same, Mark Zuckerberg. What does that mean for everybody else? Because there are plenty of companies out there who are mining data and selling it.
Yeah.
And they're scared to death right now for two things. If he gets excoriated like I expect that he will be, a lot of people are going to unfriend him in a very big way. And a lot of other companies are going to start saying, what do we have to do to keep from having to be trotted? And the other big fear is that government will decide they can regulate and that they should regulate. And that, I believe, will be as big, if not bigger, of a disaster than the wild, wild west of Facebook.
So why is Zuckerberg saying that he could possibly agree to that?
What else is he going to say? But deep down, do you honestly think he wants to go and says, regulate me? I mean, come on. It's like saying to a surgeon, cut me open, but don't use any anesthesia. Just let it rip.
Fair enough, but he actually might want a scapegoat. I mean, he might want some sort of rules and regs that
patch.
He won't when he gets them.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Hillary Clinton is still playing the blame game for her 2016 election loss. Marie.
I'm ready.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm ready.
She wrote a book called What Happened?
Bring it on.
She still doesn't know. She's pointing to everything from sexism to Russia, James Comey, fake news, the NRA, whether Hillary Clinton is helping or hurting her political party ahead of the midterms.
Some of it was very clearly both sexist and misogynistic. The vitriol, the vituperativeness that was directed at me.
There are those who panic when the market makes a move. But if you're like us, you know that focus and the drive to do more will take you places you've only dreamt of. We are Athene, and we are driven to do more.
I lost this much weight on Jenny Craig.
Introducing Rapid Results by Jenny Craig. Lose up to 16 pounds in just 4 weeks and see real results with the support of a weight loss expert and chef-crafted food. Call now to get Rapid Results by Jenny Craig.
He's playing with us.
No. He's trying to tell us something.
Let's see what forensics thinks.
Sorry I'm late. What'd I miss?
Want to get away? Now you can with Southwest fares as low as $49 one way. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
Jane, this is Jim from OnStar. I've contacted help, and they're on their way.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'm going to stay with you until help arrives.
Thank you. That deer just came out of nowhere.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats psoriasis differently. With Otezla, 75% clear skin is achievable after just 4 months, with reduced redness, thickness, and scaliness of plaques. And the Otezla prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Tell your doctor if these occur. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Other side effects include upper respiratory tract infection and headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
We're finally back out in our yard, but so are they.
Introducing Scott's Turf Builder Triple Extras. It kills weeds, prevents crabgrass, and feeds so grass can thrive. Guaranteed.
Our backyard is back.
This is a Scott's Yard.
Your brain changes as you get older, but Prevagen helps your brain with an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember.
Hi, I'm William Devane. You know, investing in gold is not about making $1 million.
Gold is about protecting what you have for you and your family. And now you can, by taking an existing IRA and rolling it over to a Rosalind Capital precious metal-backed IRA. Like me, you've worked hard for your money, and you don't want to lose it now. So protect it against financial craziness by getting a Rosalind Capital precious metal-backed IRA. Just pick up the phone and call the folks at Rosalind. Now you can have an IRA backed by gold and silver that'll make you feel a heck of a lot safer. The IRA rollover is just another way Rosalind is helping you protect your assets.
Call now for your free gold kit, free silver kit, and free IRA kit. And for a limited time only, pay 0 IRA account fees in the first year. Call 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900. 800-630-8900.
Bill.
Hillary Clinton not giving up on pointing the finger over why she lost to President Trump. In a recent appearance before a women's group, Clinton naming everything from fake news driven by Russia to what she sees as sexist attacks by Mr. Trump's supporters, along with former FBI Director Jim Comey's decision to reopen the email probe days before the election. Watch.
And every day that goes by, more evidence, more proof about fake news and the Russians and Cambridge Analytica and, misogyny and sexism. I mean, it's hard. It's very hard. I've taken on the NRA for years, and they spent more money against me than they've ever spent against anybody. We'll find out whether any of that was Russian money. So between Comey and WikiLeaks and other messages on the, Facebook and other places, they turned off enough people.
So as the resident Democrat on the couch, I have said often that I understand why Hillary Clinton wants to explain what happened. I sympathize, I respect her, but for the sake of the party, I think she needs to take a lower profile. You probably hope she stays in the news forever, right?
When I hear people say, Hillary, get off the stage, I'm thinking, no,
I know,
no, stay on the stage, please. The best shot we have for the midterms is to get her out there as often as possible. I think the Republican Party should sponsor a network special of full hour on prime time and let the world hear the excuses. It's the best thing we have going for us.
See,
Please
I
don't
hope
quit
she's
talking,
watching
Hillary.
you right now, and that convinces her to take my advice.
I don't think that's necessary. I think that movie's already playing. That movie's already playing in her head.
Do you think that her comments will actually impact voters, or they're looking at the candidates on the ballot in front of them and deciding on that?
So that depends how long candidates who are running let the faucet drip. Like if they cut her off now, maybe they won't have to spend some of their communications money trying to clean up what she might say before she flies in for an event to so-called help people. Because if she keeps talking about, deplorables or whatever her new language is, going after certain voters. I mean, look at Claire McCaskill.
Right. And Heidi Heitkamp.
Senator Claire McCaskill in Missouri said, look, she's not talking about the voters in this state. And I'm like, aren't y'all on the same page? No, they're not.
Well, the interesting thing about that, too, was Senator Dick Durbin, who is not in a red state.
Right.
He's not up for re-election. He's not going to be worrying about getting his seat taken away. He is telling Hillary Clinton it's time to stop because you're hurting the party.
Right.
In terms of her, she's never going to step off the stage because Hillary Clinton cares about one thing, and that's Hillary Clinton. So I think she's going to continue to say things. And she also accuses people who say she needs to move on for the sake of the party of being sexist and misogynist. But in terms of the political implications here, I think in local House races, it doesn't have as much of an effect. We saw that in Pennsylvania. But with the Senate and all of the Democrats and red states, it is a big problem because they were heavily involved in the 2016 campaign. They endorsed her, they backed her, and they're going to have to explain now why their values align with someone who continues to insult the people who they're supposed to represent.
Especially the women like McCaskill.
Exactly. It's funny because she spent a lot of time talking about how President Trump's campaign was so backwards looking, right? And it's truly the way she is now. She's not looking forward for her party, and I think it's probably about time that happens.
Absolutely. And I've also said she is not the future of the party, and I don't think politicians like her are the future of the party. If you look at candidates we have running, not just Conor Lamb, but across the country, it's different. And I think that's the future, and she needs to allow that future to step up.
You know, Governor, you're the only one on the couch who has looked down the road and said, you know what, I'm going to do something different other than politics. What is it going to take for Hillary Clinton? You have it in your history.
Some people can't let go. And I mean, it's just that simple. But having Hillary Clinton come in and campaign for you, if you are a Democrat candidate, is like having Jeffrey Dahmer do the ribbon cutting at a restaurant opening. I mean, come on.
Oh, my goodness.
You just don't want her there because it is so backward looking. What Sandra said is true. I'm getting some really nasty looks from Sandra. But I'm just telling you, for Republicans, having her there is important. But one of the most difficult things is the ability to say, my political time has come to an end. Let's do something else.
Well, we'll see if she's able to do that. We'll certainly keep talking about it. Republicans are also facing some new concerns of their own. What Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is saying now, and what he's telling the GOP it needs to do ahead of the midterms. Details ahead. Stay close.
All right, I brought in high protein to help get us moving and help you feel more strength and energy in just 2 weeks. I'll take that.
Ensure high protein with 16 grams of protein and 4 grams of sugar. Ensure, always be you.
If you're like thousands of veterans who own a home, you may be thinking about refinancing to get money for your family. As a veteran, you're eligible to apply for a refinance loan for up to 100% of your home's value. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you refinance your mortgages, consolidate your credit card debt, get cash, and lower your payments an average of $600 a month. Call New Day USA right now.
Call 1-844-383-1591.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else. Why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase relieves your worst symptoms, including nasal congestion, which most pills don't. Flonase helps block 6 key inflammatory substances. Most pills only block 1. Flonase.
I used to let my diabetes rule my life. Now, I'm stronger than that. More determined. I'll never let it slow me down again. Now, my day begins. I need something that tastes great, curbs my hunger, and provides longer-lasting energy without spikes. Extend bars are scientifically developed to help control blood sugar for up to 6 to 9 hours, outperforming typical nutrition bars. Take back control with Extend.
I can't believe this came off my floors. Gross. My tile was still this dirty even after I mopped my floors.
Are you ready to see what you're missing every time you clean your floors? Introducing Flex Clean by Rug Doctor. It's our first ever true all-in-one floor cleaner. Deep clean every floor in your home with one amazing machine that leaves no doubt. You can see the dirt coming out. All floors, no exceptions. Flex Clean tackles carpets and rugs, wood and laminate floors, stone and tile. Only Flex Clean lets you change surfaces seamlessly.
From carpet to hardwood to tile. Accidents, stains, my everyday cleaning. It gets every floor in my home totally clean.
We know you have to see it to believe it, so we put Flex Clean to the test. Just watch how Flex Clean's powerful suction cuts through dirt and grime. No more sloppy mops. Flex Clean gets rid of sticky, gooey accidents and icky leaks with one clean sweep. Food and drinks on the carpet? No worries. Flex Clean sucks up stains so you can relax and get back to entertaining. And Rug Doctor knows pets, so no matter how furry your family is, Flex Clean is there to keep your floor cleaning routine fast and fresh. Here's how it works. The cleaning solution and rotating brushes dislodge dirt. Then powerful suction carries the dirty water into a separate tank, where it's safely contained until you dump it down the drain.
So disgusting, but really satisfying.
Flex Clean pivots and handles like a vacuum, only it does so much more because it deep cleans every floor.
I love that I can go from my area rugs to my hardwood floors in just 2 easy steps. I just change the nozzle, turn the knob. It's that easy. I'm ready to clean.
Now you can have Flex Clean delivered straight to your door. Call or go online to get yours. Order now and we'll include this exclusive upholstery tool that makes cleaning hard to reach places a snap. That's not all. We'll also include a free trial size of our famous all-in-one cleaning solution. Don't miss out on this awesome TV-only Flex Clean deal. Call or go to flexclean.com right now.
More Outnumbered in just a moment, but first let's touch base with Harris on what is coming up on Outnumbered Overtime in just a few minutes. Hey, Harris.
Hey, thank you very much. All right, so the president is on the move. President Trump on Air Force One expected to touch down in West Virginia in the next hour to hold a roundtable discussion. He's invited Americans who have benefited from the administration's tax reform and job creation. We'll also be watching closely for any comments the president might make about his decision to take action at the border, to send U.S. troops to the National Guard to our border with Mexico. We'll get reaction from top law enforcement in Texas, as well as from the acting deputy commissioner of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Where do things stand with the wall? Overtime, top the hour. Back to you. Hey, Gov.
Well, stay tuned. Thank you. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell sounding a warning now ahead of this year's high-stakes midterms amid growing questions over whether Republicans will be able to hold on to their majorities in the Senate and especially in the House. McConnell telling Kentucky Today, quote, "This is going to be a challenging election year. We know the wind is going to be in our face. We don't know whether it's going to be a category 3, 4, or 5. I'm hoping we can hold the Senate. And the principal reason for that, even if we were to lose the House and be stymied legislatively, we could still approve appointments, which is a huge part of what we do. But this comes as Democrats' lead on the generic ballot has been shrinking and Republicans are within the margin of error. And some other polls show President Trump's popularity rising in recent weeks. Obviously, it always depends on where you're looking for that number, but there does appear to be a trend on that front. So what do you think about all this? What are the risks?
I think the president's numbers are going to continue to go up, but I think Congress's numbers are going to continue to go down, and that is on Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. Republicans, especially Donald Trump's base, are livid over the budget bill. Not just the amount of it, but there were a couple of things that were important. Getting rid of funding for Planned Parenthood. That was sacred to people who supported Donald Trump, and they just kept it in there. And there's no excuse for that. They did not have a hard line of negotiation. They went in there from a standpoint of weakness. They surrendered to, essentially surrendered to Chuck Schumer. And as a result, people are angry, and a lot of Republicans just don't care if they get beat.
Do you have any forecasts for how things turn out?
I think there's a good chance it's Nancy Pelosi will be Speaker, and I think Republicans will lose some of their numbers. And, you know, I pray they don't lose the Senate, but I fear they might.
Well, and I think the governor is absolutely right. The challenge for Republicans, particularly the base, is that they stay home because they're angry, they're frustrated, and they blame Congress. And you see that in Congress's poll numbers. That's why you've seen, what is it now, over 30 Republican incumbents not running for re-election because they see the headwinds coming at them. I also, though, do not think Democrats should be overconfident. I think that would be a mistake, and this can't be an anti-Trump vote. I don't think that's the campaigns we're running, but we need to be careful not to fall into that trap, run on issues and run on candidates.
What's the message as of now?
What depends on the district. We're running district by district. Look at what Conor Lamb ran on. He had an economic message. He had a cultural message, which resonated with his district. We have very good candidates around the country. I'm not, you know, counting my chickens before they're hatched here, but it looks good right now for Democrats if we keep up this trend.
But what happens to the Conor Lambs of the world if they get elected and then they can't do anything because their own party shuns them?
I actually think the party is changing in the House particularly, and I think if Democrats take the House, Nancy Pelosi is not going to be Speaker. I think it's going to be someone like Joe Crowley because there are a lot of younger members in the party who don't owe their seats to Nancy Pelosi, although she has been a great historic leader for the party at many times. And I think that the party's changing. I really believe that it's not going to be what it was 10 years ago.
I'm more optimistic. I still think it's a toss-up. I think President Trump's numbers will go up and down throughout the year, but I do think that tax reform has really impacted a lot of people. And as they continue throughout the year, they're going to maybe see that and vote in favor. But I think that Republicans have a better chance in Democrat-held Senate seats than they do with the House. I think that they could stand to pick up some seats there. But in terms of the enthusiasm, absolutely right. Republicans or Democrats in midterm elections always have a problem with turnout. We're looking at that now. And if you look at the previous elections, 2010, for example, the Republican wave, there was an enormous groundswell of Tea Party support. And I remember people going to each other's houses, knocking on doors. I know that the RNC is doing a lot of that, but it doesn't have the same apparatus as it did in 2010. Exactly.
So, just a short time ago, the president took off from the White House. A Marine one. He has since landed at Joint Base Andrews. He is departing shortly to West Virginia. He will be focusing primarily on tax cuts and the Jobs Act. That is going to be held at the White Sulphur Springs Civic Center in West Virginia. The president has landed Joint Base Andrews on his way to West Virginia. We are going to stay and cover the president's visit there, his 4th since becoming president, by the way. More Outnumbered in just a moment.
It's okay that everybody ignores me when I drive. It's fine, because I get a safe driving bonus check every 6 months I'm accident-free. And I don't share it with Mom, right, Mom? Right.
Safe driving bonus checks only from Allstate. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Get a free mesothelioma book from mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. That's why we offer this free book.
Call toll-free at 1-800-745-BOOK.
Patrick woke up with a sore back, but he's got work to do. So he took a leave this morning. If he'd taken Tylenol, he'd be stopping for more pills right now. Only Aleve has the strength to stop tough pain for up to 12 hours with just one pill. Tylenol can't do that. Aleve, all day strong, all day long. And for pain relief and a good night's rest, try Aleve PM for a better aim.
The doctor called me and she was like, "You have multiple sclerosis, so I'm tired all the time." But you just have to keep a positive attitude. Sometimes when I come home, I'm struggling and I'm like, I don't know what to make for dinner. It was always the same thing. That's why HelloFresh works for us. The fresh ingredients, everything is lined up, and we were saving money. I love when we're cooking together. It sets the mood for the rest of the night.
Go to HelloFresh.com and use code TV30 to save $30 off your first box. HelloFresh. Get cooking.
Have you been diagnosed with spinal stenosis, bulging or herniated disc, sciatica, or other chronic spine conditions? Are you ready to find lasting relief? Call Laser Spine Institute, the nation's leader in minimally invasive spine surgery, to learn how a less than 1-inch incision can have you up and walking within a few hours of surgery, free from chronic back pain, and with no hospital stay and no lengthy recovery.
Call 1-800-560-BACK now for your free MRI review.
Take your first step in joining over 60,000 patients who found lasting relief at Laser Spine Institute.
My boss would send me home because I was in excruciating pain. Going to Laser Spine Institute, I go in, I have the procedure, and walk out a changed person, good to go back to work. It's changed my life completely.
If you've been told you might need neck or back surgery, call 1-800-560-BACK now for your free MRI review.
Laser Spine Institute, a less than 1-inch incision, a lifetime of standing tall.
Attention investors. Your IRA or 401k may be at risk again. The 2008 crash wiped out up to 50% of IRAs and 401ks. Can you afford to lose again? What if you could store IRA or 401k savings where you can see, touch, and hold it in your hands? With the Augusta Gold or Silver IRA, you can transfer a portion of your savings into physical gold and silver coins. The stock market is close to its all-time high, and your retirement might be at risk again. But you can trust Augusta to help. You get free shipping and insurance and zero management fees. Augusta Precious Metals is a gold IRA leader, rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Trust Augusta, where gold and silver have been the family business for over 40 years. Call 1-877-GOLD-IRA right now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. If you can't hold it, do you really own it?
Many thanks to Governor Mike Huckabee. Always a good time to have you on the couch, sir.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Any parting words for us?
I look forward to being back and
excellent.
making more snarky comments.
Safe travels. We love having you. All right. Thank you to everybody. We are back tomorrow live at noon Eastern. And now here's Harris.
All right, we know the president is in the air on Air Force One. Let's get the news started. 2 significant events we are following right now. This is Outnumbered Overtime. I'm Harris Faulkner. The president just boarded Air Force One. You see it there, center left of your screen. He is about to take off on his way to West Virginia for one of his roundtable discussions, a signature part of his presidency, as we have seen it happen time and time again. He'll be meeting with a group of American citizens. What may come up is his decision to send the National Guard to our border with Mexico. And this is also developing. That second thing we're watching. We're awaiting a briefing at the Pentagon where we could actually hear more details about that plan to toughen America's border with Mexico. The president followed through on his vow to get tougher on border security by signing a proclamation to send the National Guard immediately in response to what the administration describes as, quote, unacceptable flows of drugs, criminal activity, and illegal immigrants coming across our border, unfettered. Homeland Security Chief Kirstjen Nielsen says the current system is broken.
Our current border security and immigration laws fail the American people. The system rewards bad behavior. It does not punish lawbreakers. It undermines our nation's economic interests. Make no mistake, interdiction without the ability to promptly remove those without legitimate cause is not border security. It is not national security.
All right, standing by for us, the Texas State Attorney General, as well as the Acting Deputy Commissioner of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. I want to first, though, go to our national security correspondent, Jennifer Griffin, to get the very latest from the Pentagon, because you've got this briefing coming up.
That's right, Harris. This will be the first time we have heard from Pentagon officials since the president signed that proclamation ordering the National Guard to the southern border. So far, that order has been light on details. Pentagon officials who I spoke to this morning said they did not know how many troops the White House and DHS are requesting, nor do they know where they are being sent or what their assignments will be. Defense officials tell me it will take up to 2 months before any National Guard will be in place. That's the way the bureaucracy works. The Defense Secretary can assign those troops using Title 32 authorities and Pentagon money, but then the state governors have to sign off, and as we've reported, there is no indication that Democratic Governor Jerry Brown will agree to having the National Guard activated in his state along the border. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen was on Fox and Friends this morning talking about previous presidents who had sent the National Guard to the border.
Governors and some members of Congress over the last 48 hours, it's certainly their strong belief that, in fact, it made a huge difference. And in some cases, they believe that it immediately ended all of the illegal traffic. So I think we have good case studies that it works.
One area that the president hopes the National Guard can assist, according to Nielsen, is in the building of the wall on parts of the border where the U.S. has military bases. But the only portion of the 2,000-mile border where there is a base is at the Barry Goldwater Air Force Range in southwest Arizona. But that is only 31 miles long. Lawmakers want to know how the Pentagon plans to pay for the call-up of the National Guard. When President Bush sent 6,000 National Guardsmen to the Mexico border in 2006, they were unarmed, and the deployment cost the Pentagon $415 million. That money was taken out of Navy and Air Force operations and maintenance accounts, the same accounts that are supposed to be used to fix broken aircraft and reverse the readiness issues facing the military. The powerful chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Mac Thornberry, warned the White House not to rob the military to secure the border. Harris?
Jennifer, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Meanwhile, I had mentioned Republican governors of Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico are backing the president's decision to send National Guard troops to the border. Even California's Jerry Brown, who has locked horns with the president over his state's sanctuary policies in the recent past, is signaling he may be willing to work with the federal government on this. Now let's bring in Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who can tell us about the crisis at the border. You know, it's interesting. People say, oh, we hadn't heard about this before. They must be asleep at the wheel because the president has been talking about this for a long time.
He's been talking about it since his campaign, and what's so great about this is, at least during the first 2 years of his administration, he's done more for border security and immigration reform than any president that I've ever seen.
Talk to me about the crisis.
So we know, we track statistics on crime in Texas as it relates to illegals. So we know we have a significant problem. We've had over 600,000 crimes committed by illegals in the last 5 to 6 years. We've had 1,200 homicides. We know that we have drugs coming across the border. I've talked to border security. I've talked to police agencies in our state. It is a significant problem that we need to address.
Border Patrol has told me that what this will allow them to do is to be able to go to the front lines while our National Guard is able to do some of their other duties, unarmed, an extra set of eyes, that sort of thing, so that the Border Patrol can better do this. And Attorney General, I've heard you say that there's only so much even the states can do.
That's absolutely true. The federal government has the authority to do a lot more than our state can do. We put our own money into border security, but we're limited in what we're allowed to do. So this is actually extremely helpful. If it frees up Border Patrol and Customs and Enforcement, it's a good thing for us, because obviously we're dealing with the issues that other states maybe don't have to deal with.
You know, your state has seen so much, and other states too, but you had a hurricane season that was really punishing last year. So we've seen the National Guard come to the help of your state. And my question is, how is this any different?
Yeah, I don't see a difference. You know, we're in need. We do have security issues. We do have crime issues, drug issues galore. I don't see why this isn't a crisis that the National Guard can't help us with. We certainly appreciate it in Texas.
Talk to me about the wall, that huge omnibus spending bill, $1.3 trillion, kicked $1.6 billion only of what it will cost, not just to build the wall, but to fix parts of it. You know, one thing that no one's talking about is there are parts of the wall that even exist now that are subpar.
That's true, but we do know that it works, and so that's why I'm glad that we're at least making some progress. Obviously not enough, but we already have a pretty good fence along the El Paso, where El Paso and Juarez, Mexico are, and that made a significant difference in crime. It turned El Paso from one of the worst cities in America to one of the best cities for crime.
You know, as the top police officer, for lack of a better word, in a state, the Attorney General, what do you see that you hope that sending the National Guard to the border and building a wall system that will include shoring up the numbers of people we have protecting us in Border Patrol, what do you see that cutting into in terms of what's coming across the border? I know drugs, but we got a lot of other stuff going on at the border.
We have human trafficking. We have sex trafficking. We're the #2 state in the nation for human trafficking. That is obviously something that people in my state care a lot about. So that would, I think, have a significant impact on that problem.
You know, you talk about the #2 for human trafficking. It's also interesting that those unaccompanied minors that we saw flowing in, remember that 3 summers ago, how many of them there were, we're starting to see numbers tick up again. And they're not just coming from Mexico, it's Central South America.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem for my state. I mean, you have these unaccompanied minors who don't have parents, and trying to address all the issues that they bring is a challenge for my state. And so, you know, preferably,
what issues do they bring? What are you dealing with exactly?
So we're dealing with having to, you know, put them with other, you know, foster parents or someplace.
If you can find them.
And dealing with the cost of that, because we have a legislative process. We can't go borrow money in our state. We have to have a balanced budget. And so when we do a budget, we haven't necessarily included these costs in our budget, and it becomes a challenge for my state to pay for it.
You know, I've also heard you talk about the moral responsibility in all of this as well.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, these are kids. I mean, when they're here, we have to deal with them. We have to find a way to take care of them, because we can't let them be in a situation where we lose their life or there's harm to them. And so it puts us in a challenging position.
All right. Attorney General Ken Paxton, will check back with you as those National Guard members have now, according to the president, ready to be mobilized. Thank you very much.
Anytime. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. The president may have actually more political ammunition for building his wall. As we just alluded to, according to Customs and Border Protection, more than 50,000 people were stopped at the Mexican border last month. Those are fresh numbers coming in. So I told you about the tick up in that. That's up 203% from March of last year. We're joined now by the Acting Deputy Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, Ronald Vitello, who previously served as head of the Border Patrol. Boy, I tell you, the job just got tougher.
It's always a challenge on the border, but with the right kind of support, with the right kind of resources, we can do a lot better, and you're hearing today what happened yesterday when the president signed the proclamation to give us more capability using DOD, the National Guard resources.
Tell me how it would work, because we saw this under Presidents Obama and Bush. It's expensive to move this into place, but they're doing important things. So how does it work, and when do you think the timing of this would actually come?
So we're going to do it as quickly as we can do it safely. And how it would work is they will give us capability to replace Border Patrol agents who are not doing actual interdictions or enforcement work. The National Guard will step in and take their place, and then those agents will then be redeployed to the front lines to do the best things that they can do as it relates to interdictions and patrolling the border. And I would just say this is a little different than any of the other times that we've done it before. There's a lot of intensity around making sure we can try to trim and ebb the flow of these numbers and put us in a situation where the border is in a much safer condition. And so we're very happy to add this capability as quickly as possible. But there is a process. The Pentagon has to work with the states to get the right kind of resources in the right combination. And then we owe the Pentagon a full and complete list of our requirements.
Yeah, and we're standing by for them to address the nation right now. And they're in a briefing that they've called at the Pentagon on this very issue. So it'll be interesting to get some details from the DOD standpoint. But I want to talk with you about what happens when you see a tick up of north of 200%. What does that look like, and what kind of pressure does it put on your men and women?
It's just an example of where, you know, the president, the secretary, Nielsen, my commissioner, McLean, have been trying to let people know that the loopholes that exist in current immigration law and the way we enforce at the border is being hampered. Those people that are coming in as children or coming in as part of family units are really hampering our ability to actually be out on the border, right? Because there's a processing function that has to take place. And since they're not being removed before they get their hearing in court, that means they get to go out into the society, and that encourages others to come. It's a bad thing for them because it's a dangerous journey. It's bad for us because it distracts us from the national security mission, and it's just not good for the whole overall border enforcement regime.
All right, so you led the Border Patrol. You likely have seen this sort of thing before. Immediately, what happens when the National Guard gets there? I've had agents tell me it's an extra set of eyes, but what you're talking about is actually one-on-one match with, hey, pick up something, we got something for you to do.
Right, so we'll give them the duties that are not law enforcement centric, that are not, it doesn't require them to do law enforcement work. We'll give them those essential tasks, and then the agents that are performing those tasks will be redeployed to the border.
No doubt your men and women have an interface with these people coming up from our southern border. So when you see a tick up in one month over last year of north of 200%, what kinds of conversations are they having? What is the magnet that people see? Because we had seen a decrease, particularly with our current president getting tough on this comment or on this positions. And now all of a sudden we're seeing the reverse of that and more people coming. What's the magnet?
A lack of consequence. So if you come as a family or if you come as a young child unaccompanied, then you're essentially you get adjudicated for a removal hearing, but that doesn't happen immediately. And so then you're released into foster care if it's an unaccompanied child, or you're released to your family in the States. If you come as a family, there's not enough detention for families in the United States, and so they end up being released, and that draws people in. Obviously they're coming from terrible places, but the law doesn't allow for them to come in as refugees or asylees. They're actually coming here for the same reasons other people come. They're coming for economic reasons.
All right.
And there's a lack of consequence for them at the border.
Yeah, real quickly before I let you go, Governor Brown in California has said he might now take a look at this, although, you know, he's had a contentious relationship with the president over sanctuary status of cities in his state. How important is it that everybody along the border get on the same page with National Guard, with this extra help? Because doesn't it create a situation where the people who want to come in know, well, that one's not being watched, I'm going to go down there?
That happens on the border, so we have to do this in a comprehensive way. We'll sort out with the Pentagon their relationship with California as well.
Acting Deputy Commissioner of the Border Patrol, we appreciate your help today and giving us information. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
President Trump is now in talks with the House Majority Leader on rolling back parts of the already passed $1.3 trillion spending bill, amid some conservative backlash over just how much money that is. So where could they cut back? And what will it mean for your tax dollars? And House Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes is threatening to enforce a subpoena if the FBI does not hand over an unredacted version of the memo which sparked the Russia investigation. Well, will we see that memo?
I appreciate the fact that they've let us see part of the document, but we would benefit from seeing all of it. And I don't think that's too much to ask for another co-equal branch of government to ask that of the Bureau.
There's an old saying in the Navy that the toughest job in the Navy is the Navy wife. And if you made the deployments and you've been the wife at home or you've been the spouse at home, you understand what I'm talking about. Your spouse has earned the right to apply for a VA home loan. The New Day 100 loan allows you to borrow up to 100% of your home's value. So if you're in a situation where you need some help financially, give us a call.
Call 1-844-383-1565.
If you're a veteran, own a home, and need money for your family, call New Day USA to use your valuable VA home loan benefit.
Thank you, Admiral.
It lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value.
Thank you, Admiral.
With today's rising home values, that can mean more money for you and your family.
Thank you, Admiral.
Money to pay down debts and get financial peace of mind.
Thank you, Admiral.
We'll do everything we possibly can to get you approved.
Call 1-844-383-1565.
Fighting wrinkles in average shirts. Fighting wrinkles in Duluth Wrinkle Fighters shirts. Duluth Trading Wrinkle Fighter shirts. Skip the fuss, nix the wrinkles. Only at Duluth stores and DuluthTrading.com.
Dear Foremothers, your society was led by a woman who governed thousands, commanded armies, yielded to no one. When I found you in my DNA, I learned where my strength comes from. My name is Courtney McKinney, and this is my Ancestry DNA story.
like President Trump, and they also like his tax proposal and plan. There are some who say they do not, and there will be a group. We expect there to be about 50 people outside of this building protesting the president and his tax cuts.
My message to Mr. Trump would be pay attention to the middle class, pay attention to all Americans, not just the people who have money, pay attention to all of us, and to everyone in Congress and in power in D.C. Please start representing the people who elected you, not the special interests you take money from.
That woman's name is Kellen Leaf. She says that she owns a catering company in this area. She said in the past she had owned a restaurant where she had 10 to 11 employees. She says she has not seen any benefits from the president's tax cuts, and she thinks they are geared more towards benefiting the wealthy. I asked her what she thought about the group that would be here with the president today, and she said she felt like those companies represented people on the upper middle, higher end of the chain, and not small business mom and pop shops like the one she owns. Harris?
Allison, thank you very much. And, you know, I would imagine with the president now touching down in the next short little while to talk about our tax dollars, this will come up. The president is now in talks with House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy on rolling back parts of the already passed $1.3 trillion omnibus spending bill, that huge bucket of our cash. He's gotten some pushback from conservatives. The president has stepped up criticism on the bill since he signed it, saying compromises with Democrats to get much-needed defense spending resulted in giveaways and waste while holding back funding for his proposed border wall with Mexico. Republican Congressman Warren Davidson, a House Freedom Caucus member, and notably voted no on that huge omnibus bill, joins us now. He's also an Army Ranger. Great to have you along for the program. Congressman, tell me this. How do you process the president now almost getting on the same page with you in terms of this huge bill?
Well, we're very excited that he's speaking out about it, but really, I think it's time that Congress gets on his page. I mean, if you look at the president's budget, he proposed a much more responsible budget, and Congress proceeded to blow through it. And really, the House proposed more spending than the president asked for. I supported what we voted on in the House, but we waited from September when the House had an agreement all the way till March when the Senate finally got on board. And before the Senate would even vote, they had to add an extra couple $100 billion to the spending plan, money that we don't have.
You know, it's interesting. We saw this president talk about vetoing this. And in fact, it was a huge hinge point in the news on that day that he was going to sign it, because he was having some questions. Obviously, our military was important. You got to spend on that. Some of those people have not seen raises in more than a decade. At the same time, he was looking at some of the pork and all the other things that were in this omnibus bill and scratching his head, I would imagine, about, well, do I really want to sign something this big? In fact, what he said, if you'll recall, was President Obama had to do one. It was bigger than this one. He said, I bet he didn't want to sign it either. Have you talked to the president, the Freedom Caucus?
Well, the Freedom Caucus has. I haven't had a personal conversation, but, you know, and I think the encouraging thing is Leader McCarthy's talking about a plan that allows the president to do a procedure called a rescission. It's the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. And my hope is that we can get back to the spending levels that the House had said. While that's more money than we have, it's a more responsible path. It also equips our military. But it didn't spend as much on other things. And a lot of those things really are compassionate. I mean, they're good-hearted things to do, but it's not compassionate to bankrupt America. And that's the path we're on if we don't change course. I'm really excited to see the president and at least the House talk about getting on the same page. And the hope is the Senate can join the team here and get us rowing in the right direction.
Can you give me an idea of how different the House number is compared to that $1.3 trillion?
Well, they added about $200 billion to what the House had passed. So the House passed a plan that was just over $1.2 trillion in September. It funded at the same levels that the current bill does for defense, but it didn't spend as much on non-defense. And of course, they also added additional money for emergency funding. So there was a lot of additional spending that was put in at the final hour in the Senate side,
Yeah.
And the other part is it deems the budgets for the next 2 years. So while it's a higher number for the current year, it's also a higher number for next year. And the budgets are deemed, which is really problematic in terms of how we get a path to get, other things done if the Senate doesn't have to go through budget reconciliation, because that gives us a 51-vote path. So I think it's an important departure from what we said we were going to do in this amount of spending, but even in the process. The idea that we were voting on this without having time to read all the bill was also disappointing. So I think this, as we go through and read it, it'll be exciting to see, hey, what did all this extra money go for? And surely we can agree that there are some things, while they may be important and good causes, are less of a priority than some of the opportunities we have ahead, like infrastructure. Infrastructure can't be optional, and we can't just go raise taxes all the time. We just saw the benefits of this great pro-growth tax reform, and the president's going to be talking about that today. And so if we're going to get the spending we need on infrastructure, we need to make priority decisions. And I think this plan to rescind some of the spending can get us some funds to do some pro-growth infrastructure.
Well, that's what we do in our houses, right? We get to the end of the month, we try to figure out what we have actual money for.
I mean, we'd
no
love
matter
to do
how
all
much
of
money
it,
you make,
take a great vacation, put an addition on and everything, but you can't fund all the priorities.
I appreciate you telling us about the budget for the next 2 years, because I mean, honestly, 1.2 something and 1.3 might not sound like a lot of money difference for people, but as you forecast out, I get where it is. And we also understand why the president might have wanted to veto this. Congressman Davidson, thank you so very much. We appreciate your time. Hope you'll come back.
Thank you, Harris.
Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg set to testify 2 times in public hearings on Capitol Hill next week amid a massive data scandal that compromised the personal information of now 87 million users. Maybe more. He said he really didn't know. Zuckerberg is taking some of the blame, but says he won't step down. Well, what can we expect? Fox Business Network's Deidre Bolton. First time on the program. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're covering the hearing. So tell me, Deidre, is he the right person to be out front?
He absolutely has to be. Listen, he is the founder, he is the CEO, he is the controlling shareholder. So he has Class B shares, which have 10-to-1 voting rights to every other kind of share out there. He would be an awfully hard person to replace, but yes, he is very definitely the right person. And he has actually openly said, I accept responsibility. I'm not firing anyone. I accept responsibility. But the shocking headline, so you just referenced that 87 million versus the 50 million, which we knew about Cambridge Analytica. The shocking headline for me yesterday was coming from the fact where he said, listen, if you have a Facebook account, chances are your data has been scraped. So meaning you may have given permission to Facebook, you may not have given it permission to all these other developers that build onto Facebook's platform, which does serve 2 billion people. So to me, that was a pretty strong statement. Part of it is this search function, which is actually used in other parts of the world. All right. But it has connected more people than you realize to you.
So it's interesting because I'm a little bit more plain speaking than that. What he's saying is he has no idea how many were exposed and that it could be all of us. And we go back to his college days text messages with his friends who started this whole thing. And when he was saying, I can get so much on anybody I want to, that becomes part of a business model as you move forward, I would imagine. So tell me what's happening right now, though, with Facebook, because he's promising to fix some things. I don't know. Again, I'm plain-minded. If you fix it too much, you won't be making that kind of money you were.
So what he has actually said is he will tell you more of what he is doing. He did not specifically say yesterday that, hey, Harris, I'm going to ask you for new permissions at every point along the way. So he's saying what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how I'm using your data, but I'm not going to remind you at every single juncture. In my humble opinion, it is a step in the right direction. And I think if the Congress people are smart next week, that's what they're going to ask for. And Steve Jobs said this 8 years ago. Ask people every time that you're going to share. Ask them at every juncture. Ask them at every crossroads. Ask them until they are sick of answering the question, yes, I am willing to share this data.
Well, and Steve Jobs was somebody who even got kicked off his own board.
Yes, he did.
And worked his way back in and made that company so valuable.
But
so
I
maybe
think the
somebody to listen to.
It's just that Facebook has built a machine that it cannot manage for the moment, and they're trying to catch up.
It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll all be watching April 11th next Wednesday with popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, President Trump is instructing military commanders to wrap up U.S. operations in Syria so he can bring home our troops. Despite concern, it could leave a vacuum in the Middle East, his critics say. Whether a withdrawal is the best move for our nation, we'll talk about it.
I'm your phone. Stuck down here between your seat and your console, playing a little hide and seek. Cold. Warmer. Warmer. Up. Boiling. Jackpot. And if you've got cut rate car insurance, you could be picking up these charges yourself. So get Allstate, where agents help keep you protected from mayhem. Like me.
Mayhem is everywhere. Are you in good hands?
Having moderate to severe plaque psoriasis is not always easy. It's a long-distance run, and you have the determination to keep going. Humira has a proven track record of being prescribed for over 10 years. It's the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists. More than 250,000 patients have chosen Humira to fight their psoriasis, and they're not backing down. For most patients, clearer skin is the proof.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Join over 250,000 people who have chosen Humira. Ask your dermatologist about Humira and go.
We're home. Let's go.
What kind of SUV is that?
It's a brand new Buick Enclave.
That really makes it easy to unload all those little maniacs.
Sure does.
Hey, honey, we should get one of those and have like a ton more kids.
Yeah, I love that. More kids.
Yeah.
Introducing the all-new Buick Enclave, tomorrow's SUV for today's family. Current lessees, switch to Buick and get this low-mileage lease on this 2018 Buick Enclave for around $369 per month.
The best part about being a bath fitter installer is the reveal. Homeowners greet us in the morning and love that we're going to install a beautiful new tub right over their old one without tearing the bathroom apart. But they're never quite prepared for what they get come the end of the day. We call it the wow moment. When they see their new bathtub that's high quality and more beautiful than they could have imagined, I can't help but smile. Since it's Bath Fitter, it's built to last a lifetime. We guarantee it.
You too can have a bathroom you'll love. Call now or visit bathfitter.com.
You might take something for your heart or joints, but do you take something for your brain? With an ingredient originally found in jellyfish, Prevagen is the #1 selling brain health supplement in drugstores nationwide. Prevagen, the name to remember.
It's 99-cent Kids Nights at Golden Corral. Now kids eat and drink for just 99 cents, under $1. Woo! It's prime time for family time. Come on now. Golden Corral. Your choice rules.
Bona makes it easy to care for your hardwood floors, so you can just relax and enjoy. Introducing the next generation Bona Spray Mop for hardwood floors, featuring a refillable cartridge that clicks into place, bag and bottle technology that prevents pressure loss, and a secondary grip for easier scrubbing. All new from Bona for simply beautiful floors.
We've been preparing for this day. Over the years, Paul and I have met regularly with our Ameriprise advisor. We plan for everything from retirement to college savings, giving us the ability to add on for an important member of our family. Welcome home, Mom. With the right financial advisor, life can be brilliant.
We're getting new reaction after President Trump said he is forging ahead with a plan to withdraw troops from Syria, despite questions about whether that could leave a vacuum. He's already instructed military commanders to quickly wrap up the operation there so he can bring troops home. So, can we meet the president's timeline as a nation? And our military staff sergeant Joey Jones is a retired Marine. First of all, I want to talk with you about the importance of the role that we play there, and it can't go on forever.
No, absolutely. It can't go on forever. But I think if you listen to Secretary Mattis, he said since long before he held a cabinet position, this is going to be a long war, and we should be in it for the long haul, simply because we don't know what a vacuum will leave behind, especially in Syria right now. But in Iraq and Afghanistan,